Hey everybody, I'm Ethan and welcome to the Solutions Architect channel. So if you've been following the news lately, particularly as a gamer, you'll know that World of Warcraft has released a vanilla version of the game, which means the original version. It's labeled World of Warcraft Classic, and it's something that a lot of people have been asking for a while because I'm not going to get way too in the weeds in this in case you guys aren't much of a gamers and this is not a gaming channel. I happen to be an avid gamer, but it's a brand new game, and I used to play World of Warcraft for many years, and still my all-time favorite game in the world to play. Just don't have time to play it anymore. But I thought it would be interesting, everybody's talking about WoW Classic now, and I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of just, think about what kind of architecture is behind WoW Classic, or just WoW in general. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I did not do any research whatsoever about Blizzard's architecture or back-end systems or anything like that. I'm literally just going to be spitballing right now while I'm driving to work what kind of architecture I think they could have based off of just, things I know about how the game works and different systems and stuff. So I could be completely wrong on a magnitude of stuff. Like I said, I'm just making this up hypothetically. I'm just hypothetically making this up just on the fly right now. So with that said, and before I get into it, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. Greatly appreciate that. Help with YouTube algorithms. And if you're new here and you like this kind of content, please go ahead and feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications for when I release new videos. With that out of the way, so let's see. So I'm gonna just pretend as if most people may not be aware of World of Warcraft and how it works. So if you are, please forgive the overindulgence and explanation. But when you play World of Warcraft, it's basically an MMORPG, a massive multi-online role-playing game. I think I got that right. It's like a role-playing game, but you get to play online with other people in an open-world setting, and you do a whole bunch of stuff. So because it's online and stuff, you gotta log into the actual application. Now, before that, let's take a step back. Before you log into the application, you have to actually download it. And Blizzard, the makers, Activision Blizzard, now that they've merged, the makers of World of Warcraft, they have probably one of the best patching / downloading / installation systems for a game I've ever seen, literally bar none. And basically, the way that it works is that there's like certain points in the game installation where it's you can't play it because it's obviously download and install the files. Then you got the playable section, but it's not fully downloaded, so certain aspects of the game are not available. Usually, like the first couple levels let you, so you can start playing it, and as you're playing it, it continues to download it and install it, which is pretty cool. Point is, the installation part of it, where you download, you've got, especially like, let's say WoW Classic, right? It launched on one day, and I don't know the exact numbers of people that are playing it, but I did see some stats the other day about, how many people were live streaming and how many people were watching. I think it peaked on Twitch at like over 1 million people watching it, which is like obscene. I think it, like, for that peak, it might have even overtaken Fortnite, which is the number one dog out there. But so you got to download the files, and in order to download the files, let's say Blizzard's main, they actually probably have data centers all around the world, but let's say I'm in Ghana, and I'm playing World of Warcraft, and the closest data center where they've got the physical servers and everything, all that stuff, is in, let's say, London. So obviously you're not gonna want to have to transfer all that data, all those files, all across the internet, especially when we're talking about like a 20 gigabyte game. Like, they don't do CDs anymore. I remember actually back in the day when World of Warcraft literally came out. I played the very vanilla version before even Burning Crusades, and you actually had to get freaking CDs and install them with CDs. It was like how times have changed. But so you don't install them with CDs anymore. You have to download it, and to download 20 gigs through that distance would take a long time. So, step one is they've got CDNs in place, obviously, where you can download the files pretty quickly based on your location. Okay, so after you've installed the game, the whole game installation, the localization of it is a whole complete different aspect, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just talking about more on the back end side. So then once you download the game, you got to log in, right? Now, that's a whole thing, right? So you've got the whole authentication / authorization / user account system. And Blizzard's account system is pretty elaborate. They've got things like real IDs where you can add people to your friends list that actually span across all their products, like all their games, where if I'm playing World of Warcraft and my friend's playing StarCraft or Diablo, we can instant message each other on the platform just through our Blizzard account. It's not a World of Warcraft account, but my World of Warcraft account definitely does tie into my Blizzard account. So I've got a World of Warcraft account where I log into World of Warcraft, which is tied to my Blizzard account. And inside my World of Warcraft, because that wasn't confusing enough, inside my World of Warcraft account, I can have multiple characters that I'm playing. So I can have, let's say, Ethan as a human warrior that I can level up and play as I would in a normal game. Then I can have, George, my troll wizard, or not a wizard, mage, right? And I can have any number of characters. I think the cap per server, that's a whole other thing, but cap per server is I think 10 or 12 characters per server. So anyways, so each one of my characters tied to my World of Warcraft account, which ties to my Blizzard account. So when I log in, I'm actually logging with my Blizzard account into my World of Warcraft account. It's Jesus confusing, but so you've got that whole system where you got to have the authorization, you got to have the authentication, the handshaking, the logging in, the tracking, and all that, storing all that information, and they've got multi-factor authentication. So it's a pretty heavily architected and extremely secure. I have to say, Blizzard has one of the most secure ways of logging in and handling user accounts. So that's definitely pretty heavily architected. I was mentioning servers. So Blizzard has a ton of servers, and a server is not necessarily a single server, right? It doesn't mean like an EC2 instance or something like that. By the way, the one thing I do know about Blizzard's backend architecture is that they're actually not hosted on AWS, funny enough. From what I gather, they have their own data centers, which is managed and run by AT&T. So that's pretty interesting. But point is, when we talk about a server in terms of World of Warcraft gaming and stuff, like a world server, that's not a physical machine. It's more of like it's probably a cluster of thousands of machines and stuff. But it's essentially like I log into a world. Think of a server kind of like as a world. And inside of a world, you can have multiple instances of the world. And all of that is managed by the back-end system. So we talked about the CDN and stuff for downloading the files. We talked about the authentication and logging in. So there's also, so once you log in, can you imagine what kind of traffic and scale they need to handle? I think at their peak, I don't know what their numbers are today, but I remember at their peak, I think they hit like 11 or 12 million paying subscribers. If you're paying $15 a month for a subscription for a game, you're going to be playing it. So odds are 12 million active subscribers. That is a lot. So they've got, if they have to handle 12 million people playing every month, that is a crazy amount of scale, because it's not just like it's actually completely different. Because if you have 12 million people, let's say, hitting your site, let's say YouTube, right? You're watching this on YouTube. Let's say obviously it's more, but let's say 12 million people were hitting YouTube. If you have 12 million people hitting YouTube, they click on a website, they go to a movie or a video or whatever, and they're watching it. What do you think is happening on the back end of YouTube? There's probably a couple things going on while you're watching it, but you're not reloading a page. So once you click the page, it's loaded. Got all the JavaScript, all that stuff on the page. You've got the video, which is downloading while you're going. Obviously, the progressive download, so they don't download too much and use too much bandwidth. So they've got that intelligence there. But that's pretty much all it's doing. It might be sending some extra. I've never actually inspected the network tab, but I'm sure it's probably sending some analytics and stuff like that in real time, just to be able to capture what you're doing and things like that, like a normal web app. But it pales in comparison to what happens in World of Warcraft. The magnitude of systems and things that happen while you're playing the game is just mind-boggling. So let's talk through it a little bit. When you log into the game, you log into a world that is a live world. It's an open world. So you're not the only one there. So your avatar, your character appears in the world, and once you're there, then you're automatically hooked into the chat system. There's an entire chat system. The chat system has multiple tiers. You've got, whispers, which is like basically like direct messages to other players. You've got general chat for the zone you're in. There's like hundreds of zones that you can travel to. So whatever zone you're in, there's a zone chat. There's also, if you're in a major hub, there's a trade chat. There's a looking for group chat. There's also different. So there's a elaborate chat mechanism. Then your avatar is there, but there could also be somebody else's avatar and another person's, another person, and there can be any number of other people there. And your client is tracking their movements in real time, their actions in real time, just as they're tracking your actions in real time. And everything is happening as if like if you walk in the street and you see a person walk into the store and pay for something in the grocery store, you see the same exact thing in the video game. Do you have any idea how much it takes to handle that kind of traffic in terms of, talking back and forth to servers, and what kind of TPS that involves for every single client to be interacting at that level? I mean, it's pretty insane if you think about it. So if we pop the stack back up a little bit, the overall architecture probably is, your standard type of, scalable web architecture, high availability architecture type of thing. There's probably load balancers. I have no idea what kind. I wonder if it's network-based or latency-based. It's probably, actually thinking about it, I probably would lean more on latency-based, just because I know how much of a pain latency is in World of Warcraft. So I'd probably guess it's a latency-based load balancer. I'm sure that they've got auto-scaling types of functionality. Like I said, it's not on AWS, so the typical types of functionality that we know from AWS are probably not applicable. But I think they probably have similar concepts, at least. They've probably got a mixture of, so they've got a load balancer, they've got multiple web servers to handle the traffic and proxies and things like that. I'm sure they've got multiple different types of databases. They probably have relational databases and NoSQL databases based on their use cases. They've probably got things like message buses, things like RabbitMQ, maybe a Redis. They have to have some kind of queuing system for that allows for first in, first out, because when you log into the servers, and this is something that happened pretty frequently recently with the WoW Classic, if the server is full, then they put you into a queue. So I mean, there were queues. I think the people were saying 24 hours or something insane like that. People were trying to get into the servers and they couldn't. So the way they obviously have to be able to handle that in a reliable way. So I'm sure they've got some kind of extensive queuing system. Obviously, it's not going to be SQS, but it's going to be something that works pretty identically with the FIFO mechanism. I'm sure they've got a lot of Kafka or streaming types of functionality, probably out the wazoo. I'd be really curious to know what kind of scale in terms of streaming topics and things like that they've got, how many messages they're receiving per second. I'm really curious what their TPS is. World of Warcraft also has things like raids, which just make everything I just said insanely more complex. Like, it's just adding so much more complexity to it. So like there's a raid where you fight a dragon called Onyxia. It's a 40-person raid. So think about it. You have 40 people sitting all around the world, 40 people physically in their computers, logged in, all playing as a team together in a virtual world, fighting a single big dragon boss. And they are all dealing damage collectively together. They are all healing each other collectively together. They are playing. They are doing things in concert, all in real time. You have 40 virtual players that are all talking back and forth with each other with the servers, and it all happens flawlessly on a daily freaking basis. Not daily basis, on a hourly, on a per minute basis. I mean, the level of scale, not just scale, but the reliability and the fault tolerance that is within WoW is just mind-blowing. I mean, 40 people sitting at a computer, all interacting in real time with each other, within milliseconds of a difference, so that there's really no lag or anything like that. I mean, yeah, sure, lag happens based on your internet connection and stuff, but in terms of WoW servers, it generally, like, it's flawless. So anyways, I thought that would be, interesting to muse about and think. I love World of Warcraft, and I've just been thinking about it, especially like I saw that stat of Twitch where they peaked at like over 1 million watching it, and I just thought it was pretty interesting, and I was wondering what kind of skill they would require. I wonder what kind of skill Twitch has. I mean, World of Warcraft's got skill, but like, Twitch probably needs some serious skill too. I mean, a lot of web applications, not just web applications, but in general, like a lot of systems and games and applications and stuff today, they scale like crazy. I mean, some of these websites, some of these games or apps, they require insane skill. World of Warcraft, I mean, YouTube, Twitch, it's just a really, really insane level of skill that things are requiring today. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're new and you got to this point in the video, hopefully you enjoyed the content, so feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I release a new video. And if you thought this was interesting, feel free to share it on your social media with your friends. And please feel free to put a comment below. I'm very curious what you guys think the backend architecture of World of Warcraft or a game like World of Warcraft might look like. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? What are your thoughts, opinions? Very curious what you guys think. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.